welcome back to my studio. This is Emma. It's just lovely to have you all here again, sharing this space with me, doing some fun things with some stitch and some fabrics. If it's your very first visit here, thank you for finding me, and I hope you'll stick around. It's meant to be fun here, it's meant to be about play, it's nothing serious, but I hope you find it relaxing and maybe inspiring. And if you do, don't forget to leave me a thumbs up, because that helps other people to find us. And if you'd like to subscribe, that would be just fantastic. Thank you. So it's a very wild and windy day today. I think it's very, what I call equinoxal, when the, the shift's happening, the autumn's coming. You can really feel it in the air. You can see I've got a sort of a sweatshirt on today because it's a bit cooler in here, which is lovely. And you can kind of hear it in the air, and you can feel it, can't you, when the seasons change. I don't know where you are in the world, but here in the UK, it's, where are we, mid-September, and we're just shifting gently. Everything's, the berries are lovely and bright in the hedgerows, and the autumn leaves are just beginning to turn. But it's the shift inside me that I'm noticing mostly, is that I just want to stay snuggled up in beds in the mornings. I don't really want to jump out in the morning at the moment. I kind of just feel very snoozy and very sleepy, and I think I'm feeling very soft and gentle. And I just want to just be like that at the moment and not do anything too uproariously exciting. I'm just very happy to be calm. So where are you on the world? You might be waking up and thinking, oh great, it's nearly summer, let's get out there, let's get on the beach, let's go do fun things. But I think it's really important that I listen to myself at this time of year, and I don't try and push anything, and I just go gently through the day, and I'm very lucky that I can do that. It's great. But I think whatever I'm doing, I try and be very focused on how I'm feeling and what I need to do next. Obviously it has to be done, but I just try and enjoy it. I put some music on, and and listen to that, or put something on to listen to if I'm doing chores, to make the job more pleasurable, which is great. So I've been down in my studio again doing some more clearing out, would you believe. I'm really focusing on, I want to be in the now. I want to be the artist I am now, the person I am now. There's a past version of me, many past versions of me, and a lot of it, when you make things, don't you find, you make things at a time of your life and then you move on from it, or you look back and go, oh well, I love that, but actually it's not my cup of tea anymore. So I've got all sorts of things. I'm busy. I've got another load to go to the charity shop tomorrow. I've got books that are going out. I've got things I've made, pictures I've made, bits and bobs, accessories, brooches that I've made. I got rid of all my handbags that I made ages ago, because I just thought, I'm not going to be selling these things anymore. I don't want to be, looking at them forever in my studio going, oh, they're still here. And it's like a heart sink moment, isn't it? As Marie Kondo says, does it spark joy? And if it doesn't spark joy, it's just going to be moved gently into perhaps somebody else's life. And if it makes a bit of money for, good projects around the world, that's great. It's fantastic. We're still clearing out my dad's house, I have to say. I think this is partly because I spent all last weekend solidly, looking through stuff, looking through bits and pieces, paper clips and hole punchers and silly things that we all have in our lives that are really functional, really useful, but what on earth do you do with them when somebody has passed on and no longer needs them? But also lots of memorabilia stuff. My dad had a lot of stuff that he'd hung on to even from his young days, which is really interesting to see and look at. But I don't want to be leaving a load of stuff that other people have to look through, perhaps that makes them feel sad, I'd much rather be in the now. I want to live now and enjoy this moment. And yes, I've got lots of lovely memories, and it was quite interesting to see some of the things my dad had done that I actually didn't know about. So that was quite interesting, but there's this heavy weight of stuff that you then have to go through, and it's quite a task. And we've done it very slowly, which I have to say has been a good process to do, because it allows you time to grieve. And I think grieving is a very underestimated thing in our society, I think, isn't it? You tend to say, oh, somebody's died, oh, you've just got to pick yourself up and get on. And I just think, well, actually, it takes time. Everything takes time, including this piece of work, which I'm going to get onto next, because I'm quite excited about it. I'm pleased. I kind of know where I'm going with it now. I've got a vision for it. It's kind of coming together, and I hope you're enjoying the process with me. I know it's very slow, but I feel as though that, again, is part of this time of year. There's no big rush. Art isn't meant to be hurried. Art is meant to be enjoyed in the moment, like life, I suppose. I always say art is just like life, really. So let's go over to my table and we'll see what we're going to get on and how we're going to make it go forward. I know I'm really keen to get some stitching into it, but I've got to cover all the textured surface on first, and then I'm going to do lots of free machine embroidery, which is going to be very much an exciting thing to do. So come on, let's go over and see where it's at. Here we go. Got lots of lovely little bits that I've cut out already that I'm just going to start putting down. And the sun is out, it's absolutely lovely. It's been such a grey morning so far, and now the sun is out, and that's just lovely. So I'm just going to kind of play with these colours. I'm putting them down kind of as I'm going up over, and I'm thinking I'm going to do some more of this light patch here next, using these sort of, ooh, some dark bits in there, but trying to use the lighter bits that I've got and just see what we're going to do with these. I hope you can see these lovely textures that I'm building up here, and I decided I was going to include this green, which is here, and I also found this beautiful yarn, which I've had for a very long time. This is something I bought on a Scottish island many years ago, and it's been sitting in my studio waiting to be used, and I'm just going to add little tweaky bits in, just because I feel as though it needs to have a sense of I think somebody talked about vines. I think it was Lou. Lou, thank you for your suggestion. And I like the idea of having some trailing things as well as sort of solid colour. So we'll just see. We're just going to add these in. And as I say, I'm using this lovely green as well. Just felt it needed a little bit of a lift. So we've got the dark areas and the very bright pinks. And then we've got this kind of green that's lifting it up as well. And as I said before, this is a very, very slow and gentle process, because I've got these very tiny bits that I'm just wanting to kind of keep the sense of the raggediness and the texture of them. So I want them held and thank you girls. I want it held in place, but not so much that we lose this lovely soft, loose feeling of it. I'm just doing a last few little bits and pieces down here, and then I'm going to actually get on with a bit of stitching next, which is exciting. Just take that pin out. It's such a pleasurable job doing this. It starts out like you really don't know where you're going with it, really. You sort of don't know where to start, because it seems so daunting to have the whole piece to add texture to. But because I've just plugged away at it and done a bit at a time, it's been lovely to do. Very, very sort of relaxing. Oh, and the sun's coming out again. We've had a beautiful, wild morning, honestly. We've had heavy rain, strong winds. Real equinoxial weather, and a beautiful, you know, sunshine one minute and then just absolutely tipping it down with rain the next. So I think really I'm kind of at the point where I really would like to get some stitching onto this, partly so it can hold things in place for me, and then, you know, I can build up, I can add more on. That's the beautiful thing, you can just add more bits and pieces on. In fact, there's a little bit there that needs embellishing. Let's just do that bit. Oops. Just unpinned it. Just get this little bit on. There we go. I'm not sure I'm using that actually. I'm going to take that off. I was going to put some of this on, but I've decided I don't think I want it on. It's making it too busy. I think it's good to keep to a range of fabrics. Doesn't matter how many you use really, but I want to keep them the same sort of story going all the way up. And this was lovely, but I just think it's too much, so we're not using that bit. I'll put that over there. Right, so I'm going to sort it out next and get it ready for doing a bit of stitching. Okay, so what I've done now is I've cut myself a piece of stabilizer fabric, which is kind of papery stuff. If you're not familiar with it, it just helps keep it stable when I'm going to be stitching into it, because if I didn't and I just stitched into this is quite soft and flexible, and it would probably just kind of shrink in a little bit more than I would want it to when I stitched into it. So that's going to go underneath there. And actually somebody did ask me, and I said I would show you the back. I usually try and show you the back anyway, because it's quite interesting to see how much gets pushed through of the fabric underneath, gets pushed through by the needles of the embellisher. And it's actually quite a nice effect. You can actually, you can make use of that in something. You could embellish it from the wrong side and have those colours coming through. Not on a thick piece like this though, I think. So this is my edges here, and you can see I've folded back the base fabric that I had on originally. Same up here, look, you can see that's just been folded over. I've actually just embellished it from the top, and that's kind of held it in place for me. You could just pin it, I suppose, and then you can see I've got some nice lacy bits kind of sticking off over the edge of that, so that when it's all flipped over, hopefully we'll get some nice edges on it that are, soft and a little bit lacy and a little bit frayed, It's really nice effect. So, as I say, we're going to pin it onto the backing here, and so we're just going to take it over to the machine next and do some lovely free machine embroidery into it. So I think the other thing to do is to get myself some threads, and I'm thinking I'm going to perhaps start with this this dark area first. Just looking at some threads. I usually try and work from one end to the other, or like top down or something like that, so you're working coherently with it, so that any stitching you do keeps pushing the fabric in one direction, a bit like when you do quilting and things like that. So I've just been looking through my lovely threads and thinking, well, what sort of colours might I choose? I haven't done this for ages, honestly. It's been yonks since I've done any actual stitching, apart from fiddling around with clothing over the summer, which I've got some more in a pile to do. I got all enthusiastic about chopping up clothes and refurbishing them in different ways. So I think those might do for that. I thought I would have the matching thread dispenser today, matching the pink. And the other thing I would like is some sort of creamy colours, would be quite nice to have. Oops. Maybe a bit of something like that, I think. So put those in. I love this bit. I love it when you put all the threads in together, you just go, ooh, those are yummy. Sure if I'm ready for the greens. I think maybe I might save the greens up for next time. We'll just get started with these sort of neutral colours and see where that's going to take us. Okay, so I'm set up here for free machine embroidery, and if you don't know how to do that, there is a little video in my playlist under beginners, and it teaches you how to lower your feed dog teeth underneath here and what tension to use. In fact, I'm just going to alter my tension a little bit because I've been sewing clothing. And I put my stitch length onto 0, which is a little thing. I've got a little thing over here which you can't quite see. Never mind. So I am just going to make sure that I've got it in the right position. Yeah, so I can actually move it. And I've got a lovely creamy coloured thread in the top. And all I'm going to do, first of all, I'm just going to take that pin out that's just hiding itself. And I'm just going to have a go. I don't want to make massive amounts of stitching, but I want to do enough that we sort of keep the texture, but everything gets held in place. Obviously with an embellishing machine it does hold the fabrics in place to a certain extent, but I like to make sure, and the stitching to me adds another layer of detail to it. You can add, more colours and things in. I always think the first bit of stitching is the funny bit because you're just setting off. It's like when you first set off to actually lay the whole piece out, and it's like, oh, you're committing to something, and it's as you build it up and build up the colours of the threads that it all gets quite interesting. See, something like this, I don't want to hold down too much, but I do want it to be secure. And it's can be a little bit tricky to sew because it obviously can catch on your bits and bobs on your machine. So to be honest, I think this is going to be another slow job. Let's just press that down a bit. Obviously you've got to be really, really careful with your fingers if you're going to do things like this. It's much safer to have your fingers further away. You see, you can just move around. This is the beauty of free machine embroidery, isn't it? Anybody who does this, you know what I'm talking about. See, that bit's quite loose. So you have to decide. It's all about choices, deciding how much you're going to stitch it down and where. And it doesn't matter. With all of this artwork, no right answers, no wrong answers, just what pleases you, pleases your eye. So you can see this is going to be a lovely, long, slow job that I'm going to really enjoy. I'll be at this for several hours, and so I will show you it further down the track. I would just like to thank you all very much for watching me today and for being here and supporting what I do. It's just lovely to share all of this with you. It really makes me very happy to do so. And so please leave me a comment if you like what I'm doing so far, if it's inspiring you to have a go at doing something you wouldn't have thought of doing, if it's got you getting your embellisher out of that cupboard where it's been, you know, covered in dust for the last few years. That's fantastic. It's just lovely to connect with you wherever you are in the world, and I'll just see you in my studio next time. Bye for now.